The journey of restoration is one of the most beautiful and transformative experiences a person can undergo. When God begins to restore your life, it means He sees the value in you and is actively working to bring you back to the fullness of who you are meant to be. Restoration is not always easy. It often comes after a period of pain, brokenness, or loss. But it is in those very moments that God's grace and power are most evident. If you are wondering whether you are in the process of being restored by God, there are clear signs that reveal His hand working in your life, even if you cannot fully see it yet. First, you will notice a deep sense of peace beginning to replace the turmoil that once consumed you. It's not a superficial peace, but a profound calmness that settles your heart and mind, even in the midst of chaos. This peace is a sign that God is restoring your spirit. Where once anxiety, fear, or confusion reigned, now there is a new foundation being laid, a foundation of trust in God's timing and plans. When you feel this peace, know that God is speaking to your soul, assuring you that you are not forgotten and that restoration is underway. Second, you start to experience a renewed sense of purpose and passion. Restoration is never about simply going back to the way things were. It's about becoming better, stronger, and more aligned with God's design for your life. You may find new dreams stirring in your heart or old dreams being refined and rekindled. This spark of passion is a sign that God is breathing new life into your hopes and ambitions. It's His way of telling you that your story is not over and that there is much more ahead for you to accomplish. Third, relationships that were once broken begin to heal. Restoration often involves the mending of connections with others. Whether it's family, friends, or even yourself, you may find forgiveness flowing where there was bitterness, understanding replacing resentment, and love breaking through walls that once divided you. This healing of relationships is a clear indicator that God is at work. He restores not just your individual heart, but also the community around you. When you witness these changes, embrace them as a sign that you are on the path to wholeness. Fourth, you will notice growth in your character and faith. Restoration is not about avoiding difficulties, but about growing through them. God uses trials and setbacks to refine you, to strip away what no longer serves your highest good, and to build resilience. You may find yourself becoming more patient, compassionate, humble, or courageous. Your faith deepens as you learn to rely not on your own strength, but on God's unwavering support. This transformation within is a powerful sign of restoration. It shows that God is molding you into the person you were always meant to be. Lastly, you will begin to see doors opening that were once closed. Opportunities that seemed impossible or out of reach suddenly present themselves. This is not coincidence, but divine orchestration. God is restoring your path, clearing obstacles, and guiding you toward new beginnings. Whether it's in your career, ministry, or personal growth, these open doors are signs that restoration is manifesting in tangible ways. Trust that God is leading you into seasons of increase and blessing after the times of waiting and struggle. To be restored by God is to be given a second chance, a fresh start, and a new hope. It is a reminder that no matter what you have faced or what mistakes you have made, God's love and grace are greater than all. Restoration may come slowly or suddenly, quietly or dramatically, but it always brings transformation that is lasting and meaningful. If you recognize these signs in your life, hold on to them with faith and gratitude. You are not alone in this process. God is with you every step of the way, restoring what was lost and making all things new. Remember, restoration is not just about returning to your former state. It's about emerging from the experience stronger, wiser, and more connected to your divine purpose. Embrace the peace that calms your soul, the passion that reignites your dreams, the healing that mends your relationships, the growth that shapes your character, and the doors that open wide before you. These signs are God's love letters to your heart, encouraging you to keep moving forward with confidence. So if you are feeling weary or discouraged, take heart. The signs are there, even if they are subtle at first. God's restoration is real and powerful. Trust in His process, lean into His presence, and watch as your life is beautifully transformed. You are being restored, and a new chapter full of hope, joy, and purpose awaits you. Keep faith, for the best is yet to come. When you begin to feel a deep sense replacing the turmoil and chaos that once dominated your life, it is a profound sign that God is actively restoring you. This peace is unlike any fleeting calmness that the world offers. It is a lasting soul-level tranquility that settles over your entire being, even when external circumstances remain difficult or uncertain. This inner peace signals that God's presence is close and that His healing work has begun to transform your heart and mind from the inside out. Often, before restoration starts, people experience intense feelings of anxiety, fear, confusion, or despair. These emotions can feel overwhelming, leaving you restless and consumed by the weight of your struggles. But when God steps in to restore, He brings a supernatural calm that transcends human understanding, a peace that anchors your soul amidst life's storms. This peace is not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it is the assurance that no matter what is happening around you, God is in control and working all things for your good. It's the gentle whisper to your heart that says, "I am here with you, and I will not leave you." This assurance is the foundation of true restoration because it shifts your perspective from despair to hope. You no longer feel like you are drowning in your difficulties. Instead, you begin to stand on a firm rock, trusting that God's plan for your life is unfolding according to His perfect timing. Experiencing this peace also changes how you respond to challenges. Before restoration, you might have reacted with anger, frustration, or hopelessness when faced with obstacles. But as God restores you, that peace softens your heart and renews your strength, allowing you to face hardships with patience and grace. It teaches you to pause and breathe, to pray and seek God's guidance instead of spiraling into panic. This peace becomes a shield that guards your mind against negativity and fear, enabling you to hold on to faith even when the future seems uncertain. Another beautiful aspect of this peace is how it impacts your relationships. When your heart is at peace, you find it easier to forgive those who have hurt you and to release grudges that have weighed you down. You become more compassionate and understanding, able to extend grace just as God has extended it to you. This healing of your inner turmoil creates space for healthier, more loving connections with others. It's as if God's peace flows from your soul into your interactions, bringing reconciliation and restoration not only to you but to the people around you. This peace also deepens your relationship with God Himself. When your heart is calm and steady, you are more open to hearing His voice, sensing His presence, and trusting His guidance. You no longer feel the frantic need to control everything because you recognize that God's wisdom and timing are far greater than your own. This surrender is a vital part of restoration, as it invites God to take full reign over your life and to lead you into the next chapter with confidence and hope. It's important to remember that this peace does not mean your problems disappear overnight. Life may still bring trials and setbacks, but the difference is how you carry them. Instead of feeling defeated or overwhelmed, you begin to carry your burdens with the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are not alone. This peace becomes a source of courage that encourages you to keep moving forward, step by step, trusting that God is making all things new. Many people experience this peace in unexpected ways. Sometimes it comes through prayer, worship, or reading scripture. Other times it arrives through a kind word from a friend, a moment of clarity, or simply the passing of time when you begin to see things from a different perspective. Whatever the source, recognize this peace as a divine gift, a sign that restoration is happening beneath the surface, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. If you find yourself in a season of waiting or healing, be encouraged by this peace. Cling to it as a lifeline, knowing that it is God's promise that He is restoring you. When doubt or fear tries to creep back in, remind yourself of this peace and let it remind you of God's faithfulness. It is a powerful anchor for your soul, holding you steady through the ups and downs of restoration. In this peace, you also begin to experience a renewed identity. Where once you might have seen yourself through the lens of failure, brokenness, or pain, God's peace helps you see yourself as beloved, valued, and worthy of restoration. This shift in self-perception is life-changing. It allows you to forgive yourself, to let go of shame, and to embrace the new life God is offering. Your heart is no longer a battlefield, but a sanctuary where God's love reigns. Ultimately, This peace is a testimony to God's power to restore what was lost and to heal what was broken. It is a sign that you are on the path toward wholeness and that God is faithfully completing the good work He began in you. So, when you feel this deep, abiding peace settling in your soul, rejoice. You are being restored and your life is being transformed by a love greater than any pain you have endured. Hold on to this peace tightly, for it is the surest sign that God's restoration is real, active, and beautifully unfolding in your life. When you begin to experience a renewed sense of purpose and passion, it's a powerful indication that God is restoring your life in ways that go far beyond healing old wounds or mending brokenness. Restoration is not simply about returning to your previous state. It's about being revitalized and transformed so that you step into a new, more vibrant chapter of your journey. This renewed purpose often feels like a stirring deep within your soul, a fire reignited that brings clarity, motivation, and a fresh sense of direction. It's God's way of awakening your heart to the possibilities ahead, reminding you that your story is far from over and that He has great plans for you. Before restoration begins, you may have felt lost, disconnected, or uncertain about your future. Dreams might have seemed distant or even impossible to reach, buried beneath disappointment or the weight of past failures. But as God works to restore you, He breathes life into those dormant dreams or plants, new ones that align with His divine purpose for you. This process may start subtly, perhaps as a small spark of hope or a gentle nudge toward something new. But over time, that spark grows into a blazing passion that fuels your every step. It's a sign that God is not just healing what was broken, but building something greater within you. This renewed passion often comes with a sense of clarity about what truly matters. When your heart is aligned with God's purpose, distractions and doubts lose their grip and your focus sharpens. You begin to see your life through God's eyes, recognizing your unique gifts and calling. It's as if a fog is lifted and suddenly your path becomes clearer. This clarity is empowering because it shifts you from merely surviving or coping with life's challenges to actively pursuing the dreams and goals God has placed in your heart. It's a transformation from feeling stuck or stagnant to moving forward with intentionality and excitement. One of the most encouraging aspects of this renewed purpose is that it often comes with a fresh sense of joy and enthusiasm. When you are passionate about something meaningful, it energizes you. It gives you strength to persevere through difficulties and inspires creativity and innovation. This joy is a gift from God, a confirmation that you are on the right track and that He delights in your progress. Even when the journey is hard, this joy becomes a source of resilience, helping you to keep pressing forward because you believe in the vision God has given you. This new passion also invites you to step out of your comfort zone and take risks that you might have avoided before. Restoration is not about playing it safe or settling for less. It's about embracing growth and transformation. God's restoration challenges you to trust Him more deeply and to pursue your purpose boldly, even when the outcome is uncertain. This boldness is a sign of faith. It shows that you are willing to step into the unknown because you believe God is leading you to something better. It's an exciting, sometimes scary, but ultimately rewarding part of the restoration process. As you embrace this renewed purpose, you may find yourself drawn to new opportunities, relationships, or callings that align with God's vision for your life. Doors that once seemed closed or irrelevant may begin to open, and you'll start to notice how God orchestrates connections and circumstances that support your growth. This network of support is part of the restoration process too. It reminds you that you are not alone. God often uses people around you to encourage, mentor, and uplift you as you pursue your passions. These relationships become vital sources of strength and affirmation. It's important to remember that this renewed purpose is not just for your benefit. It's also meant to impact others and glorify God. When God restores you, He often uses your experiences, your testimony, and your gifts to serve a greater purpose beyond yourself. Your restored passion can become a beacon of hope and inspiration for others who may be struggling or feeling lost. This sense of calling to serve or give back adds depth and meaning to your journey. It transforms restoration from a personal healing into a mission that touches the lives of many. During this time of renewed passion, it's natural to encounter challenges and moments of doubt. Restoration is a process, not an instant fix, and it requires patience and perseverance. There will be times when old fears resurface or when the path seems unclear again. But holding on to the renewed purpose that God has placed in your heart will help you navigate these obstacles. Prayer, reflection, and seeking God's guidance regularly can keep you anchored. Surrounding yourself with supportive people who believe in your vision also helps sustain your passion during difficult seasons. This renewed sense of purpose is a gift of hope, proof that God has not forgotten you and that He is actively working to bring good out of your past hurts and disappointments. It transforms your outlook from one of despair to one filled with promise and excitement. You start to envision a future that is not defined by your failures or setbacks, but by God's grace and possibilities. This hope fuels your motivation, encouraging you to keep growing, learning, and moving forward even when progress feels slow. In embracing this new passion, you also grow in faith. Trusting God with your dreams requires surrender and belief that He knows what is best for you. Restoration deepens your relationship with God because it calls you to rely on His wisdom and timing rather than your own plans. This spiritual growth strengthens your resolve and equips you to face whatever challenges come your way. Ultimately, a renewed sense of purpose and passion is a clear and beautiful sign that God is restoring your life. It shows that He is not just healing old wounds, but giving you a fresh start filled with hope, vision, and energy to live fully. If you feel this stirring in your heart, cherish it, nurture it, and let it guide you forward. Know that God is leading you into a new season where your life will reflect His glory and where your restored passion will impact the world around you in incredible ways. Your restoration is real and it is unfolding beautifully, one inspired step at a time. When relationships that were once broken begin to heal, it is one of the clearest and most tangible signs that God is in the process of restoring your life. Relationships are the threads that weave the fabric of our lives, and when those connections are strained, fractured, or lost, it can leave us feeling isolated, hurt, and incomplete. But God, in His infinite mercy and love, desires not only to restore you individually, but to mend the broken relationships around you as part of His restoration work. This healing of relationships is a powerful testimony to God's grace at work, showing that restoration touches not just your heart, but also the lives of those connected to you. Broken relationships can come in many forms: family conflicts, friendships that ended badly, estrangement from loved ones, or even fractured connections within your community or church. These broken ties often carry deep wounds, whether from misunderstandings, betrayal, disappointment, or hurtful words and actions. Such pain can build walls of bitterness, anger, and resentment, making reconciliation seem impossible. But when God begins His work of restoration, He softens hearts and opens doors that once seemed firmly shut. You may find yourself yearning for peace where there was once conflict, or feeling the courage to reach out and seek forgiveness or offer it freely. This movement toward healing is a sign that God's restoration is unfolding in your life. The process of healing relationships usually begins internally. God works on your heart first, helping you to release grudges and bitterness. This is often one of the hardest steps because it requires humility and the willingness to let go of pain and anger that you have held onto for so long. However, as God fills you with His love and forgiveness, your perspective shifts. You begin to see others through God's eyes, imperfect people who are also in need of grace. This shift enables you to forgive, not necessarily to forget what happened, but to free yourself from the bondage of resentment. Forgiveness is a powerful act that opens the door to restoration, breaking down barriers and paving the way for reconciliation. Once your heart is softened, God often prompts actions toward reconciliation. This might mean reaching out with an apology, accepting an apology, or simply making space for dialogue where there was none before. These steps can be vulnerable and challenging, but they are crucial parts of the healing process. God's restoration empowers you to take these courageous steps, even when fear or pride might hold you back. As you move forward in faith, you often find that the other person is also responding to God's work in their heart. Creating a beautiful dynamic of mutual healing and restoration. Healing relationships does not always mean everything returns to exactly how it was before. Sometimes, restoration leads to new boundaries or healthier ways of relating that honor both parties' growth and well-being. God's restoration is about wholeness and peace, not necessarily about pretending the past never happened. It's about creating a future that reflects God's love and grace, where forgiveness and understanding take the place of hurt and mistrust. This new foundation can be stronger and more genuine than before because it is built on God's truth and healing power. Restoration of relationships also brings a profound sense of freedom and joy. When broken ties are mended, the weight of conflict and pain lifts from your shoulders. You experience relief and a renewed sense of belonging. Relationships become sources of support, encouragement, and love again. This healing is a testimony to God's transformative power. How He can take what seemed lost or shattered and turn it into something beautiful and life-giving. It reminds you that God's restoration is holistic, touching every area of your life. Restored relationships often serve as a powerful witness to others. When people see forgiveness and reconciliation happening in your life, it points them toward God's love and grace. Your journey of healing can inspire and encourage others who are facing similar struggles, showing them that restoration is possible. It becomes a living example of God's redemptive work and His desire to bring peace where there was conflict. During the restoration of relationships, you might still encounter challenges. Healing takes time, patience, and continued prayer. Old wounds can resurface, misunderstandings might arise, and trust may need to be rebuilt slowly. But each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory and a sign of God's ongoing work. Persistence in love and faith will see these relationships flourish again, sometimes even stronger than before. It's also important to remember that some relationships may not fully restore in the way you hope, and that is okay. Restoration looks different in every situation, and sometimes God's healing means finding peace and freedom even without full reconciliation. In those cases, God's restoration is still at work, healing your heart, helping you to let go, and guiding you toward new relationships and communities where you can experience love and support. In the end, the healing of relationships is a beautiful sign that God is restoring your life. It shows that His restoration is not just about fixing what's broken inside you, but about bringing wholeness to your world. When relationships heal, your life is enriched in ways that go beyond the surface. You experience God's love in action, His grace in forgiveness, and His power in reconciliation. This is a powerful reminder that God's restoration touches every part of your life. Your heart, your mind, your community, and your future. So if you are seeing broken relationships beginning to heal, rejoice. It is a sign that God is restoring you and those around you. Embrace the process, lean into God's guidance, and allow His love to flow through you. Restoration is happening, and it is making your life a testament to the incredible power of God's grace to bring peace, healing, and new beginnings. When you notice growth in your character and faith, it is a profound indication that God is restoring your life. Restoration is not merely about fixing external circumstances or returning to a previous state. It is about a deep, internal transformation that shapes who you are at your core. This growth is a hallmark of God's restorative work because it reveals that He is molding you into the person He created you to be. Stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Such growth often happens through challenges, trials, and experiences that refine your spirit and deepen your relationship with God. It is a journey of becoming, where your faith becomes more vibrant and your character more aligned with God's truth. Before restoration begins, you might have felt stuck or discouraged, battling the weight of past mistakes, failures, or hardships. These experiences can leave scars that affect how you see yourself and others. However, as God starts the process of restoration, He uses those very difficulties to shape your character. This refining process often feels uncomfortable because growth requires change, and change requires effort and sometimes pain. Like gold refined by fire, your character is purified and strengthened through trials. You begin to develop qualities such as patience, humility, compassion, and integrity, virtues that are evidence of God's transformative work in your life. Growth in character means learning to respond differently to life's challenges. Instead of reacting with frustration, anger, or despair, you begin to embody grace, kindness, and forgiveness. This change is not something you manufacture on your own, but is a fruit of the Holy Spirit working within you. You find yourself becoming more patient with others, more forgiving when wronged, and more willing to serve rather than be served. These shifts reflect the heart of God, who restores not just circumstances but people, making you a vessel of his love and light. At the same time, growth in faith accompanies this transformation of character. Restoration deepens your trust in God and strengthens your reliance on his promises. Where once doubt, fear, or confusion may have dominated your thoughts, now there is a growing confidence in God's faithfulness and goodness. Your faith becomes less about wishing for better outcomes and more about resting in the assurance that God is working all things together for your good. This faith carries you through difficult seasons, sustaining you when the path ahead seems uncertain. As your faith grows, you become more intentional about cultivating your relationship with God. Prayer, worship, and meditation on Scripture take on new meaning and become sources of strength and guidance. You begin to see these spiritual disciplines not as obligations, but as lifelines that connect you to the source of your restoration. Through these practices, God speaks to your heart, renews your mind, and empowers you to live according to his will. This spiritual growth is a vital sign that restoration is real and ongoing. An important aspect of this growth is the development of resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward with hope. Restoration is not a one-time event, but a process that involves ups and downs. Growth in character and faith equips you to navigate these fluctuations with courage and perseverance. You learn to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth and deeper dependence on God. This resilience is a testimony to God's power to sustain and strengthen you through every season. Growth also means becoming more aware of your purpose and how your experiences can serve others. As God restores you, he often gives you a heart for compassion and a desire to help those who are struggling. Your own journey of restoration becomes a source of empathy and encouragement to others. This outward focus is a beautiful sign that your restoration is not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of those around you. It reflects God's kingdom values of love, service, and community. This transformation in character and faith also brings a new sense of identity. Instead of defining yourself by past mistakes, failures, or wounds, you begin to see yourself as God sees you, redeemed, valued, and chosen for a special purpose. This new identity frees you from shame and fear and fills you with confidence and hope. You embrace your worth not based on what you have done, but on who God says you are. This shift changes how you live, relate, and pursue your dreams. During this process of growth, it's natural to encounter moments of struggle or doubt. Spiritual growth is not always linear, and there will be times when old habits or fears resurface. But these moments are part of the journey, not signs of failure. God's restoration includes patience with you as you learn and grow. Continually seeking God's presence and being open to his correction and guidance will keep you on the path of transformation. It's also important to surround yourself with a supportive community during this season of growth. Fellowship with others who are on similar journeys can provide encouragement, accountability, and wisdom. Sharing your experiences and hearing others' stories reminds you that restoration and growth are collective journeys, not solitary ones. Together, you can celebrate victories and support one another through challenges. Ultimately, growth in character and faith is one of the most enduring signs that God is restoring your life. It shows that his restoration goes beyond external circumstances to touch the deepest parts of your being. This transformation enables you to live a life that honors God, impacts others positively, and reflects the fullness of his grace and power. If you recognize this growth happening in your life, cherish it. It is evidence that God is faithfully working in you and through you to bring about a beautiful restoration. So, as you walk this path, embrace the changes in your character and the strengthening of your faith. Let these signs of growth encourage you to keep trusting God, knowing that he is completing the good work he began in you. Your restoration is not just about recovering what was lost, but about becoming a new creation, stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected to God than ever before. This growth is a testament to God's enduring love and power to make all things new in your life. When you begin to experience a renewed sense of hope that transcends your circumstances, it is a powerful indication that God is actively restoring your life. Hope is more than just wishful thinking or optimism. It is a confident expectation rooted in the promises of God and the assurance of his faithfulness. This kind of hope often emerges in the darkest seasons when human strength and understanding fall short, and it becomes a beacon that guides you through trials toward a brighter future. The restoration God brings is deeply tied to this hope, for without it, the journey of healing and renewal can feel endless and overwhelming. But when hope rises within your heart, it signals that God is at work, breathing new life into your spirit and opening your eyes to the possibilities ahead. Before restoration begins, you might have felt overwhelmed by despair, disappointment, or hopelessness. Situations may have seemed bleak and the weight of your struggles heavy. You may have questioned whether things would ever improve or if you would ever find peace or purpose again. But as God begins his restorative work, he plants a seed of hope deep within you. This hope is like a small light in the darkness, persistent and growing stronger with each passing day. It encourages you to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear and your heart feels weary. This renewed hope often comes with a change in perspective. Instead of focusing solely on what has been lost or what is broken, you begin to see the potential for new beginnings and possibilities. You start to believe that God can redeem even the most painful experiences and use them for good. This shift in mindset is vital because it transforms your attitude from one of resignation to one of expectation. You start to look beyond your present difficulties and envision a future shaped by God's grace and goodness. Hope also fuels your faith. It acts as a bridge between the reality of your current struggles and the promises of God's restoration. When you hold on to hope, you are reminded that God is bigger than your problems and that he is working behind the scenes even when you cannot see it. This faith-hope connection strengthens your resolve, helping you to persevere through setbacks and disappointments. It reassures you that your restoration is not just a dream, but a certainty anchored in God's unwavering love. Experiencing renewed hope also impacts how you live day to day. It brings a sense of peace and joy that is not dependent on external circumstances. Even in the midst of trials, hope gives you a reason to smile, to laugh, and to find gratitude in small blessings. This joy becomes a source of strength, renewing your energy and motivation to keep pressing forward. It changes how you approach challenges, allowing you to face them with courage rather than fear. Another beautiful aspect of renewed hope is how it influences your relationships. Hope can inspire you to reach out for support, to accept help, and to encourage others who are also struggling. It fosters a spirit of community and connection, reminding you that you are not alone in your journey. Sharing your hope with others can be a powerful testimony to God's restorative power, encouraging those around you to believe in their own restoration as well. Hope also calls you to action. It moves you from passive waiting to active participation in the restoration process. When hope is alive in your heart, you are more likely to set goals, make positive changes, and seek opportunities that align with God's purpose for your life. This proactive stance reflects your trust in God's promises and your willingness to cooperate with his work in your life. It transforms restoration from something that happens to you into a dynamic journey that you walk with God's guidance. It's important to acknowledge that hope does not eliminate pain or challenges. The restoration process can be slow and setbacks may occur. However, hope sustains you through these difficult moments. It reminds you that pain is temporary and that God's plan for your life is good. This assurance helps you to keep your eyes fixed on the horizon rather than being consumed by present difficulties. Renewed hope also deepens your prayer life and spiritual connection. As you cling to hope, you are drawn closer to God, seeking his presence and guidance more earnestly. Prayer becomes a source of comfort and strength, a place where you can pour out your fears and receive peace in return. This intimate connection with God nurtures your hope and reinforces your faith, creating a cycle of spiritual renewal that propels you forward. In times when doubt creeps in and the road feels uncertain, remind yourself of the hope that God has placed in your heart. Reflect on his past faithfulness and the ways he has brought you through challenges before. Let these memories strengthen your confidence in his ongoing restoration work. Surround yourself with reminders of God's promises, whether through scripture, worship, or supportive community, to keep hope alive and vibrant. Ultimately, a renewed sense of hope is a clear and beautiful sign that God is restoring your life. It marks the beginning of new possibilities and a future filled with God's grace and blessings. When hope flourishes in your heart, you become a living testimony of God's power to bring light into darkness, healing into brokenness, and joy into sorrow. So if you feel hope rising within you, cherish it. Let it inspire you to trust God more deeply and to embrace the restoration He is unfolding in your life. Know that this hope is a precious gift, a divine assurance that your story is not over and that God is making all things new. Your restoration is real, and it is blossoming beautifully through the hope that God plants and nurtures within your soul every day.